Before online shopping, before smartphones, before two-day delivery changed the way we buy everything, there was the shopping mall. On weekends in the 1980s and 1990s, millions of Americans didn't just go shopping, they went to the mall. It was where families spent entire afternoons, where teenagers hung out for hours, where first dates, movie nights, and holiday traditions all happened under one roof. At its peak, the United States had over 2,500 shopping malls, and they weren't just places to buy things. They were social centers, entertainment hubs, and cultural landmarks. From massive department stores to glowing arcades and crowded food courts, malls shaped an entire generation's lifestyle. But how did this retail phenomenon begin? And why did shopping malls become such an important part of American culture for decades? To understand the golden age of malls, we have to go back to the vision that started it all. The birth of the American shopping mall. The concept of the modern shopping mall didn't exist for most of history. Traditional shopping took place on downtown streets, where stores lined sidewalks and customers walked from shop to shop. But after World War II, America began changing rapidly. Suburbs were expanding. Families were moving away from crowded city centers. Retailers realized they needed a new kind of shopping environment designed specifically for suburban life. The solution was the shopping mall, a large retail complex that brought many stores together in one convenient location. One of the first major examples was Southdale Center, which opened in 1956. Unlike earlier shopping plazas, Southdale was fully enclosed and climate-controlled. Shoppers could walk comfortably between stores no matter the weather. This idea would soon transform the retail industry across America. The vision of Victor Gruin. The man behind the first modern shopping mall was Victor Gruin. Gruin was an Austrian architect who immigrated to the United States and believed suburban communities needed a central gathering place. His vision wasn't just about shopping. He imagined malls as community centers where people could meet, socialize, and enjoy public spaces. Gruin's design for Southdale Center included gardens, fountains, and open gathering areas. In his mind, malls would replace the town squares that existed in older cities. Ironically, many malls eventually became more focused on retail profits than community life. But Gruin's vision helped launch one of the most influential retail concepts in modern history: suburban growth and the rise of mall culture. After World War II, suburban living exploded across the United States. New highways made it easier for families to commute from suburban neighborhoods to nearby cities. With millions of people moving into these areas, businesses followed. Shopping malls became the perfect solution. They offered convenience, parking, and a wide variety of stores all in one place. For suburban families, visiting the mall quickly became part of everyday life. Instead of driving to crowded downtown shopping districts, people could find everything they needed in a single location. By the 1970s and 1980s, malls were spreading across the country at an incredible pace. And with them came a new cultural phenomenon: mall culture. The anchor store strategy. One of the key reasons malls succeeded was something called the anchor store strategy. Large department stores were placed at opposite ends of the mall to attract customers. These stores acted as powerful magnets that pulled shoppers through the building. Once inside, customers would pass dozens of smaller retail shops along the way. This design increased foot traffic and boosted sales for smaller businesses inside the mall. Department stores like Macy's, Sears, and JCPenney often served as these anchor tenants. Their presence gave malls credibility and guaranteed a steady stream of visitors. The anchor strategy became a standard design for shopping malls across the country. Department stores that defined the mall era. Department stores were the giants of mall culture. For decades, stores like Sears, JCPenney, and Macy's were household names. These stores offered enormous selections of clothing, appliances, furniture, and household goods. Families could spend hours browsing different departments. Department stores also introduced seasonal displays, major sales events, and elaborate holiday decorations. For many shoppers, visiting the department store was the highlight of the mall experience. These retail giants helped anchor the golden age of shopping malls for decades. Food courts and the social experience. Shopping wasn't the only reason people went to malls. They also came to eat. Food courts became one of the most recognizable features of mall culture. Instead of traditional restaurants, food courts gathered multiple fast food counters in one open dining area. Visitors could choose from burgers, pizza, Asian food, sandwiches, or desserts. This setup encouraged groups to eat together, even if everyone wanted something different. Food courts also became social spaces. Friends met there after shopping. Teenagers gathered around tables for hours. Families took breaks during long shopping trips. In many ways, food courts transformed malls into indoor community centers. Arcades, cinemas, and entertainment in malls. During the 1980s and 1990s, malls weren't just shopping destinations, they were entertainment hubs. Arcades filled with glowing machines and electronic sounds attracted gamers of all ages. One of the most recognizable arcade brands was Aladdin's Castle, which operated in malls across the United States. Cinemas also became common mall attractions. People could watch the latest Hollywood blockbuster and then explore stores afterward. Some malls even added amusement rides, miniature golf courses, and indoor playgrounds. These entertainment options turned malls into all-day destinations, not just quick shopping stops. Teen culture and the mall hangout era. For teenagers growing up in the 1980s and 1990s, the mall was the ultimate hangout spot. Parents dropped kids off for hours while they explored stores, played arcade games, and socialized with friends. Groups of teenagers wandered through clothing shops, record stores, and electronics retailers. Some malls even became famous for teen culture. Movies and television shows often portrayed the mall as the center of teenage life. Stores like Hot Topic and Spencer Gifts catered directly to younger shoppers. For an entire generation, the mall was more than a shopping center. It was a social playground. Holiday shopping and mall traditions. The holiday season transformed malls into magical places. Decorations filled the halls. Giant Christmas trees stood in central atriums, and children lined up to meet Santa Claus. For many families, visiting the mall during Christmas became an annual tradition. Stores hosted massive holiday sales, and crowds packed the corridors searching for gifts. Music echoed through the building as shoppers rushed from store to store. The holiday season represented the busiest and most profitable time of year for malls. It was also when the sense of community and excitement reached its peak. The rise of megamalls. In the 1980s and 1990s, by the late 1980s and 1990s, shopping malls were becoming bigger than ever. Developers began building megamalls, massive complexes with hundreds of stores and entertainment attractions. One of the most famous examples is Mall of America. Opened in 1992, it featured hundreds of retail stores, dozens of restaurants, an indoor amusement park. Megamalls pushed the concept of the shopping center to an entirely new level. They weren't just places to shop, they were entertainment destinations, attracting visitors from across entire regions. And for a time, It seemed like the golden age of American malls would last forever. Iconic mall chains and popular retail brands. During the golden age of malls, certain stores became icons of American retail culture. Walking through a mall in the 1980s or 1990s meant seeing familiar brands everywhere. Clothing retailers like Gap, Abercrombie & Fitch, and American Eagle Outfitters attracted younger shoppers looking for the latest trends. Electronics stores such as Radio Shack drew tech enthusiasts, while toy stores like KB Toys became magical destinations for children. Music lovers gathered at record stores like Sam Goody, browsing CDs and cassette tapes for hours. These brands defined the mall experience and helped shape the shopping habits of an entire generation. The role of malls in American pop culture. Shopping malls weren't just retail spaces. They became powerful symbols in American pop culture. Movies and television shows often used malls as backdrops for stories about youth culture, relationships, and everyday life. One of the most famous examples is the film Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which captured teenage life centered around mall jobs and hangouts. Another iconic movie, set largely in a mall, is Dawn of the Dead, which used the mall as a symbol of consumer culture. Through film, television, and music, malls became embedded in the cultural identity of America during the late 20th century. Mall security and the rise of mall cops. As malls grew larger and attracted thousands of visitors daily, security became an important concern. Shopping centers hired private security teams to monitor crowds, prevent theft, and maintain order. These security officers, often jokingly called mall cops, patrolled hallways, parking lots, and entrances. Their job was to handle everything from shoplifting incidents to managing large teenage crowds. The image of mall security even became part of popular culture, especially after the release of Paul Blart, Mall Cop. While sometimes the subject of jokes, mall security played a crucial role in keeping these massive retail environments safe and organized. The competition between shopping centers. During the peak of mall development, competition between shopping centers became intense. Developers raced to build larger and more attractive malls to draw shoppers away from rivals. Cities sometimes had multiple malls competing for the same customers. To stand out, malls added new attractions, luxury retailers, expanded food courts, entertainment complexes, seasonal events, and promotions. Some malls even renovated their designs or expanded their floor space to stay competitive. For a time, this rivalry pushed malls to innovate and improve the overall shopping experience. The impact of big box retailers. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, a new type of retail competitor began changing the landscape. Big box retailers. Massive stores like Walmart, Target, and Best Buy offered huge selections at lower prices. Unlike malls, these stores often operated as standalone locations with large parking lots and simplified shopping experiences. Customers could quickly buy everything they needed in one store without walking through dozens of separate shops. This convenience began pulling shoppers away from traditional mall environments. The early signs of mall decline. By the early 2000s, cracks in the mall industry were becoming visible. Some anchor department stores began closing locations as sales declined. Empty storefronts started appearing in malls that had once been crowded with shoppers. Economic recessions also reduced consumer spending, making it harder for smaller retailers to survive. In many areas, malls that once thrived suddenly struggled to maintain foot traffic. While some large shopping centers remained successful, others began entering a slow and steady decline. The rise of online shopping. Perhaps the biggest challenge malls faced was the rise of online shopping. Companies like Amazon revolutionized retail by allowing customers to buy products directly from their computers. Online stores offered enormous product selections and the convenience of home delivery. Consumers no longer needed to drive to a mall to browse shelves or wait in checkout lines. Over time, this shift dramatically changed how people shopped. For many traditional malls, the growth of e-commerce represented a threat that would reshape the entire retail industry. The dead mall phenomenon. As mall traffic declined, a new phenomenon emerged across the United States: the dead mall. These were once busy shopping centers that had become largely abandoned. Empty storefronts lined quiet corridors. Escalators stopped running. Parking lots sat mostly empty. Some malls closed completely, while others struggled to remain open with only a handful of stores. Urban explorers and photographers began documenting these eerie spaces, turning dead malls into a unique internet subculture. They became haunting reminders of a retail era that had faded. The reinvention of modern shopping centers. Not all malls disappeared. Some adapted by reinventing themselves. Developers began transforming traditional malls into mixed-use destinations that combined shopping with entertainment, dining, and residential spaces. Modern shopping centers often feature luxury restaurants, outdoor promenades, concert venues, fitness centers. Instead of focusing solely on retail, these new developments emphasize experiences that can't easily be replicated online. This reinvention represents the mall industry's attempt to survive in a rapidly changing retail environment. The nostalgia and legacy of the mall era. For many people, the golden age of malls remains deeply nostalgic. Memories of browsing stores, meeting friends at the food court, and watching movies at the mall theater are tied to childhood and adolescence. Even as retail trends evolve, these memories continue to influence popular culture. Old mall photos, videos, and stories circulate widely online, reminding people of a time when shopping centers were the social heart of many communities. The mall era may have changed, but its cultural impact remains powerful. Remembering the golden age of the mall. For decades, shopping malls represented something bigger than retail. They were places where communities gathered, where teenagers formed friendships, and where families created traditions. During their golden age, malls transformed the way Americans shopped, socialized, and spent their weekends. But like many cultural phenomena, the mall experience eventually faced new challenges from technology, changing consumer habits, and evolving urban design. While some malls have disappeared, their legacy continues to live on in the memories of millions of people who grew up during this unique era. The story of American shopping malls is more than a retail history. It's a story about how spaces can shape culture, communities, and entire generations. And even as the world moves toward digital commerce, the golden age of the mall remains one of the most iconic chapters in modern American life.